welcome to the Fantastic Forum. I've just been sitting here reading a little bit, and the line "colorful shades of gray" draws to question greatness. Well, I mean, what really makes greatness? In a character or in a storyline? Wizard thought they knew, but we're not so sure. And even though it's probably been much belabored, we're still going to take our spin on it. So I'm going to introduce my panelists to you, or my guest, or my cohorts, starting with Martin.
What's up?
And Drew.
How you doing?
And Jon.
This is awful.
It's just bad. It's just bad.
So
It sparks violent reactions.
in case our audience doesn't know what we're talking about this. Wizard's 200 greatest characters of all time. Who's number one? Who indeed? So let's just go ahead and get into it, guys.
That cover is not representative.
That cover, no, well, but
No.
this is.
Show 'em who number one is.
That is.
This is the number one character of all time.
Chosen by fanboys from across the nation.
Actually, I think it's just in that one building of New York.
I think that may be true. That may be true.
So Wolverine.
All right, I'm going to have to play the role of the contrarian here and just battle back on you guys because it makes perfect sense why he's number one. He's one of the most popular and well-known characters created in the last 30 years. You go down to any schmo on the street and say, Wolverine. And they're like, oh yeah, he's the guy with the claws. And they might not be able to tell you anything else about him, but they can tell you about him.
But 30 years is not all time.
No, 30 years
That
is
is
not
true.
all time. But think about this. How many characters have stood the test of time since Siegel and Schuster first put pen to paper and came up with Superman?
Hello? That's all I'm saying. There's a couple cats on
There-
the list, and
That
maybe
probably
one
should have been-
chick before you get to
Maybe
to
so,
Wolverine.
but that doesn't mean he shouldn't be up in there.
Oh no, he
Yeah.
should be on the
Number
list
one.
without a doubt. Wolverine is a fantastic character with lots of colorful shades of gray.
Lots of 14 colorful shades of gray to be exact.
14, oh.
14.
Yeah.
Delightful. And can you name them?
But let's be fair.
Chartreuse gray,
Concrete,
to jump
Nate
in,
gray,
to jump
Charcoal.
steel.
charcoal.
Sorry.
to jump in on
Gray
Martin's
King.
point a little bit. Wolverine has been a very popular character for a very long time.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's probably some justification for saying, yeah, he's the number one guy right now. Is he my favorite character of all time? No. I think there's better characters out there than Wolverine. I think he's been overused, overplayed, overexposed, showing up in every third team that's ever been created since the dawn of time. But there's a lot of people that think he's fantastic. So cool, you know,
Amazing and spectacular.
Give him his due.
Incredible.
Well, let's talk about. Oh, okay, we can give him his due, but still, it's highly debatable that he's number one.
But people
I mean,
people reacted
in a-
like not only that he should not be number one, but that he shouldn't even be on the list at all. And it's like, no, you can't.
No.
Who
You
said
can't.
that?
Too many people said that.
Well, that's just stupid.
I would never say that. He's definitely a top 5 character.
But you know how comics fans are; they're extreme in their responses.
yeah.
We are
We're nothing if not an extreme
violent
bunch.
and irrational.
They are
Yes.
extremists.
I'm irrational, but not violent. But
I
in
don't
the
know.
oh well, yeah.
She's got the hammer.
There's that. In the top 10, there are no ladies. Why
That's
is
wrong.
that?
That
That's
isn't
true.
right.
They're the first female character weighs in number 13.
And it's
Kitty-
not Wonder Woman.
And it's not Wonder
she doesn't
Woman.
come until 15. What's wrong
Kitty
with that?
Pryde above Wonder Woman has got to be awesomely stupid.
Well, wait, Sherin, let's think
Oh,
about
let's
it.
wait. Yeah, go
let's
ahead.
think. Hang
about
on
it.
a second. Let me think about
But out of
that.
the top 25, there are only 2 females. That's pretty.
I'm still stuck on Kitty Pryde being
But,
two
but,
slots
look at,
ahead of
but,
Wonder
look at,
Woman.
but look at their cover. They have a cheesecake shot of Black Cat done by Terry Dodson.
Hold that
don't
up
think
again so
you
the
can
audience
have
can see what
a-
you're talking
Okay.
about.
You can't have
So
a cheesecake shot of Kitty Pryde.
No.
no, there's no such
She's
thing.
13. That's freaking impossible.
Well, not
Here's the
anymore.
Not
thing.
anymore.
But
That
they
would
also-
be
X-Men
gross.
fans,
but-
Colossus would be gross.
But they also have Power Girl there, who is not on the list.
Power Girl is not on the list. It was that a
So-
typo or
Just saying for
an
Kitty-
accidental omission or
She's in their secondary list.
There are
of,
no
like,
there are
the
no
next kind
characters
the
of color
runners-up.
in like the top. Luke Cage is the first guy that comes up at 34.
Well,
Wow.
the thing is sort of yellow-orange.
Yeah, and he's Jewish, but they didn't reveal that till much later.
And
but
Magneto is Jewish too.
Magneto is Jewish,
There
but
are
he's a freaking
Ethiopian
villain.
Jews.
And
Jeez.
Hellboy's red.
Stop helping, Drew.
there's something really wrong with you.
There's no
people.
Black Panther.
So again, back to
all.
Kitty Pryde over Wonder Woman. Why?
Because most X-Men fans over 30 were in love with Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, the man has a point.
I think that's
And that's why
possibly
she's up there.
possibly very true.
Because most X-Men fans over 30 read Wizard.
So Wizard
And
is
she also breaks the type for a lot of female characters in that She's
intellectual.
Not,
she's very,
she's skinny.
Skinny.
She doesn't have an hourglass figure.
She's not like insane up top or anything like that.
She
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
She uses her wits more than she uses her powers. Her
Okay.
powers are not offensively.
They're
directed.
defensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the ways that she wins when she's in a situation where she has
She's
to
Jewish too.
win or whatever is
Wow,
she,
we freaking win.
she outthinks her.
She's
she outthinks her
black.
opponent.
She's just light-skinned like
Now
Mariah.
Hellboy might be. We don't know.
Dude,
if he's old school.
Oh, we would totally conquer if that were the case. But no, Wonder Woman should be ahead on that list. She,
Yes.
I mean,
top 10.
without a doubt. And the fact
Yes.
that she's not just speaks extremely ill of Wizard's ability to pick this stuff smartly as opposed to catering to fanboys.
But John Constantine at number 10.
I kind of accept
You
that.
gotta
JC?
like that. You
I'm
gotta
okay
like
with that. I'm
yeah.
okay with
The
that.
Hellblazer,
Yeah, you've got to kind of like that they went to
a snarky Brit based on Sting.
Dude, Rorschach at number 6. That was an out of left field choice.
That was surprising.
That's a little It calls on people to really know their history a little bit because
Yeah.
Call
Watchmen
people
is
to know
20
one story as this guy being the greatest character of all time.
but it's
Watchmen
such a
is
but he's
definitive
so
story, John.
iconic,
But
though.
it's
like,
20. But it's 23 years old. It only exists because it's been kept in print as a collection all this time. So
Oh, come
But
on.
it's-
You're underestimating the ability of people to get into that story because it is such a classic, incredible story.
Well, that's the
but
thing. There's
partly because people
also
have been told it's a classic, incredible story.
Yeah.
For
You
20
think people
years.
haven't read it themselves and made their judgments, what you're saying?
I think people have been recommended to it.
exactly,
Oh,
and the
okay.
reason why
Okay.
it has been recommended is because it is indeed great. It is
I-
one of
I
the
do.
great stories that has been told in comics.
Oh, absolutely.
Seriously?
But my point is, I don't think people have been finding Watchmen. I think they've been told about Watchmen and then go seek it out.
Well, but what's
and
wrong
Alan
with
Moore's
that?
wallet gets fatter.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I mean
His
that's how a
hatred
great
grows.
And his
character.
hatred
I mean,
grows like his
Well,
beard.
yeah,
know.
it's how anything perpetuates. Like
Right.
any great piece of fiction continues because people have heard about it or whatever. So,
I mean,
but it's very cool that Rorschach as a character is remembered and thought of so highly so many years later.
how many characters in the top 10 are absolutely nuts? Batman,
Batman,
the
number
Joker,
2.
Rorschach.
Wolverine has his moments. Joker at number
Man's
5.
completely sane.
Batman is nuts.
If I were Captain
No.
America, I'd
in
be
the
nuts, but I'm
best
dead.
possible
So.
way. He is out of his mind.
Nah,
he's
he's-
got split personality
but-
disorder,
but-
and he is divine.
You know something? I would actually take issue with the Joker being described as crazy. I don't think he's crazy. I think he's evil. And I think there's a
He's
big
insane.
difference. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's criminally insane.
I don't,
Can't you
I
be
don't think
both?
so.
Oh,
I think that he is evil. I think that he
He is
does
evil
I think
and-
he does the insanity thing as a shtick.
I
But
don't
but
agree.
but I don't think he's really insane.
You know, I don't agree. The Lazarus Pit.
Oh yeah, well that's a story. but,
Hey,
you know.
we got to count a story into the whole thing.
Did the Joker ever get dropped into a Lazarus pit?
He was
he
indeed.
does.
Batman was forced to save Joker.
Oh.
And he
Which
dropped
I
him
maintain
into
would
a
never happen.
Lazarus pit to save because he had no choice, and he agonized over it for a second because he was so mortified that he had to save the Joker. And the first thing the Joker says is, "Oh my God, what have I done?"
Wow.
Well, hey.
Another great storyline.
So now he legitimately can be evil and crazy.
Right.
Because he went through the
Exactly.
freaking
He's
Lazarus pit.
criminally he's
There you go.
evilly insane, I think. But I see what you're saying. But
Insanely evil.
yeah.
Because
he's
the thing
insanely
is,
evil.
with insanity, the crucial distinction is, can they tell the difference between right and wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And the Joker knows the difference between right and wrong. He simply chooses to do the wrong
He doesn't
thing.
care.
Right, because it doesn't matter.
It
to
means
him.
nothing to him.
Now, you can argue, yeah, maybe he's a sociopath, maybe his insanity runs to being able to tell the difference and just not caring,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lack of empathy or whatever, but I don't know, I really don't think he's crazy the way most people think he's crazy.
Okay.
He's not
Let's
crazy
get
like
to
this list is
200.
crazy.
Yeah, this
Exactly.
This list is
Now this-
insane.
This list is crazy.
This was just crazy.
Let's skip to
Mad.
200 and Superman Boy Prime. Well, let's
Man
quickly
Boy.
just say that if it comes to love and to hate, Superman Boy Prime is pretty much tops on my list.
Well, I mean, Cyborg Superman made it into 178, so, you know.
That-
What's killing Superboy Prime is that at 196, Superboy is still ahead of him. And Superboy Prime is going, oh, I'll kill you dead.
I can't
I'll kill you to death.
I can't beat him.
I just can't beat him.
And
Well-
Superman's number 4, so it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
my
I got a long
God.
way to go to.
Oh.
Yeah, but it'll chafe him more that Superboy's just 4 slots ahead of him, you know, because Superman's ahead of everybody. But Superboy, when he's ahead of you, it's like, ah, damn.
And on that note, since we could go on about this forever, we're just
we'll-
going to
we'll.
kind of cut this off and maybe bring it back to you a bit later. So come back soon.
We're here at the Baltimore Comic Convention speaking with veteran illustrator Bernie Wrightson. Mr. Wrightson, I appreciate your taking time out from your busy convention schedule. I can see, please carry on with what you're doing because you've got a lot of fans who really appreciate and love your work.
Well, hello to everybody, and thank you for your support. And you know, I wish I could, you know, just kind of sit here and talk to you for a bit, but yeah, I'm a little busy.
Well, I appreciate you working with us. You are such a fabulous talent. Well known, I mean, for stuff like Frankenstein and Swamp Thing. And do you have any favorite work that you have done?
I have absolutely no favorite. You know, I'm very happy with everything I've done, and you know, choosing one over the other would be like, you know, choosing a favorite child. I can't do that.
What are you working on currently?
Currently, I'm just getting started on a three-part miniseries for IDW with Steve Lyles. It's called The Ghoul. And we're just getting started, so I don't know when it's going to be finished, when it's going to be published.
How did you get your start in comics?
I went to a comic book convention in 1968 in New York, and you know, just showed my work to anybody who would look. And you know, I was very lucky. You know, I was in the right place at the right time. And you know, I know things don't work that way anymore, but you know, that was my story.
What advice would you have to youngsters who are just getting into the comic book artist field?
Just, you know, work hard and love what you're doing.
Well, that's very short, sweet, and to the point. Hey, again, thank you so much for your time. I see you're busy. You know, you got a lot of fans. I don't want to get in the way of them, but thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is your BPD Newsbrief, spoofing you up to date on the weird, wild worlds of the various super, meta, hyper-augmented, magically endowed characters that populate the pages of your favorite geeks. This is BPD, where our geek is meta. I'm Andrea McPherson. My regular news anchor is out today, and here's what's going on. Thanks, Jim. Titan's Tower has become the center of a zoning dispute in the San Francisco Bay neighborhood. Slade Wilson, a retired veteran, recently purchased a condo with a water view and raised the issue of Titan's Power with his homeowners association. Just look at that thing! It's a monstrosity! Instead of enjoying sunsets, I'm stuck with a giant T in my way. Slade's comments quickly made their way to City Council, and hearings were held. Titan's Tower was originally zoned as a meta-gathering spot by the San Francisco City Council. The hope was that by allowing the Teen Titans to construct their headquarters in the Bay, the team would serve as protectors of San Francisco residents. At the latest City Council meeting, questions from San Francisco residents were raised about the appropriateness of the structure. Cassandra Kane pointed out that the tower is only used on weekends and hardly serves to provide full-time meta protection to the city. Robin, the teen wonder, was on hand to dispute that the tower served a purpose. You can't, like, take the tower away. Where else would meta-teens gather? We'd just be loitering on the street corners. Robin then went on to disparage the character of Slade Wilson. City Council Chair Susan Weatherby had to use her gavel and remind the Crusader that casting aspersions on veterans in this time was not helping his case. The council has tabled the issue for now and is considering other options, such as raising the tower and asking the Titans to create an underground meeting space or set up a room to meet in at a rec center. When further pressed for comment, Wilson said, I'm just doing my duty as a concerned citizen and property owner. I've served my country, and now I just want to serve this community. Back to you, Jim. You can always visit us on the web at this address, http://buglesplanet.blogspot.com/. Check us out on the net at this address. Tune in next week for more of your BPD Newsbrief. I'm Andrea McPherson, and I'll be your comic book character any day of the week.
The premium format Bruce Lee figure presents the Kung Fu Master poised for combat. Each figure is expertly sculpted to Sideshow's museum-quality standards, dressed in tailored real fabric clothing. Each piece is hand-cast of highest quality polystone, hand-finished and individually numbered. Premium format Indiana Jones figure presents the adventuring archaeologist as he appears in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Standing tall with bullwhip in hand, the figure features a belted holster that houses a removable revolver. Down to the hilt of his trademark fedora, each figure is sculpted to Sideshow's museum-quality standards and dressed in an expertly tailored real fabric costume that captures the essence of Dr. Jones. Each piece is hand-cast of high-quality polystone, hand-finished and individually numbered. The very latest from the Hot Toys Movie Masterpiece series is the Predator Fully Posable Model Kit. These are some of the finest scale figures ever created, featuring incredible likenesses and amazing detail. The Predator Posable Model Kit features over 24 points of articulation, highly detailed armory and body figure with newly developed chest and arms, real fabric net bodysuit, articulated shoulder cannon, bone trophies, interchangeable hands, wrist computer, and a detailed jungle-themed display base.
Hi, welcome back to Fantastic Forum. We've been questioning greatness. On our first segment, we talked about why Wizards' top 200 list was perplexing, to say the least. But on this segment, we're going to talk about great storylines and great characters and what makes them great. So I'm back with my cohorts. So guys, tell me about what characters or storylines you really love, why they're great.
Well, should I take a...
Please.
I think one storyline that everyone identifies as a great seminal storyline is probably Claremont and Burns' Days of Future Past, the X-Men story.
Nah, that sucked.
Hey.
You just said Claremont, so John no longer can hear you.
Tuned out.
He's blanked out completely.
I mean, the whole story is basically, it's a time travel story. Kitty comes back to the past to stop an assassination from happening, and they do, and it's supposed to be an out-and-out win for the X-Men because they prevent this whole future of concentration camps and mutant extermination from coming into being. Well, Claremont went back to the well again and again and again on it. It became this kind of running...
Tapped it dry.
Yeah, just done to death. But the original story was a great story because we see what the stakes are, we see what the consequences of failing are, and the heroes get an out-and-out win in the end of that story. So that, to me, made it a great story.
I don't think writers really set out to... Well, I think you can tell writers who are setting out to write great stories because they're the ones that invariably suck. The writers who just sit down and say, I'm going to tell a good story, are the ones that turn out great. Like, for all that Alan Moore has a reputation, I don't think Alan Moore sat down to write Watchmen, and he's like, this will be my magnum opus, the greatest story I've ever written. He's like, I'm going to write this story, and I'm going to use these characters, and I'm going to do things that I have not been able to do in the mainstream DC universe, and that was all he was thinking about. And it became this legend. Right. But he wasn't thinking, I am out for greatness. Although maybe he was, we don't know.
But what made it great? What makes Watchmen great? What are the components?
What makes Watchmen great is that it's able to deconstruct a myth and yet still make you believe in the myth because the heroes are totally taken apart. You see how twisted and messed up their world is, and yet they still do heroic things at the end. When Rorschach refuses to compromise and say, I'm not going to let this be covered up, I'm going to go out and tell the world what's going on, even
spoiler
though...
warning.
Spoiler warning if you haven't read it, it's 23 years old, but... And then Dr. Manhattan is like, for the good of humanity, for the good of the world, I have to kill you. When he does that, it's like, who is the hero in this moment? Is it Rorschach for never compromising his ideals? Or is it Manhattan for basically killing this guy who you never really liked, but was still, a hero in some respect for the good of the world?
I would absolutely jump in on that and say that essentially every character represents some aspect of heroism.
An archetype.
Right. There's something heroic about each individual person in a different way, in a different
even if they
light.
themselves are not heroes, they can be heroic.
Right. Even Osman.
Oh, madly screwed up.
And they're all messed up in their own ways, but some much more than others. So,
But isn't that somewhat what makes a great character? They are messed up in some way.
There's
Except
something,
Superman.
Superman's a little messed up. He's an orphan.
Superman's an orphan.
He's not messed up though. His
he's
personality-wise, he's not.
If you try to write Superman as messed up and flawed, you just don't get him right. Because the whole point about Superman is that he's at peace with himself and who he is.
He's at peace with himself, but he still has this past that's kind of jacked up.
And he's still set apart from humanity.
Yeah.
He's still lonely.
Yeah.
He's still got these things
He
has a
lives
wife
in a world
and Jimmy Olsen.
But he lives in a world
if I want to read that, I'm angsty and I'm apart from the world, I'll read
himself.
freaking X-Men,
Okay, but no, we're not saying
Angst.
Okay, we're not saying
Superman is not filled with
angsty.
angst of
We're
any
not saying
kind.
he's angsty.
But too many
Why am I
writers make
yelling?
that mistake. Too many
Yes,
writers make that
they
mistake
go
and write
too far
Superman
with
like
it.
that,
They
and it's
go
just that's
too
not
far
right.
with it. But it's the fact that he's overcome all of these things. The fact that he lives in a cardboard world. The fact
That's
that
what
he
makes him
hasn't-
Heroic.
Exactly. So he's overcome a jacked
That he
up
could conquer
past.
the world in a second, but chooses not to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And chooses to live a normal life as everyday mild man reporter Clark Kent.
If you want,
that makes him
if you went
heroic.
full out, he could take over the world.
Without even a question.
But
The fact he chooses not to, and the fact that he's
a benevolent
he's
god.
a good person, as opposed to everyone in Watchmen who were kind of like
Messed
Well,
up.
they were-
D-bags.
Well,
kind
they
of.
were just, they weren't all douchebags.
Some more than
Most
others.
of them were.
Some more than
in
others.
some way.
Rorschach's a little higher on the douchebaggery
they were a
scale
little
than say
Rorschach
Night
was
Owl.
the least douchebaggery-ish of them all. Yes, Rorschach was not.
Kids,
a
don't
douche-
watch this at
No,
home.
he's not.
He
He's not.
was just-
Rorschach was out to do what he was doing because he believed in absolute good and absolute
believed in
evil, and
absolute good and absolute evil.
there's no grays in Rorschach's world.
represented by his mask.
Right.
And that's the thing. Rorschach was wounded.
He was
but
badly.
he was not a douche.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
the
he was
fact that
badly
he
broken.
chose to die as opposed to telling the truth he so believed in
No,
is wrong.
he chose to die for the truth.
No, and
No, he
and
chose to
look
die
at,
to bury the truth.
No, and look
No.
at that scene in the last analysis. He realizes there's a fundamental contradiction here. If he survives, the world goes down in flames. If he lets himself be killed, and he dares
does.
Manhattan to kill him. He says, "Kill me."
To get back to the major point, that's what makes greatness, is a mark of when you're reading that story and you're lifted to a different level thinking about these questions. Would I give up my life for the sake of the truth? Would I endanger the world for the sake of an ideal I believed in? When you're sitting there thinking about it, because there comes times in everyone's lives when you have to face questions like that, big or small, no matter how mundane your life may be, there's always a moment when you're thinking, oh my God, do I go zig or do I go zag? And that's when the great stories come up and inspire you to do the right thing.
I agree.
That's what it's for.
And on the flip side of that, we talk about someone like Superman, but on the flip side, two of my favorite characters are Constantine and Tommy Monahan.
Who are messed up as hell.
Who are messed up. But even though they somehow destroy the lives of so many people.
Most of their friends.
Literally and figuratively.
Mostly their friends. They're always trying so hard to do what they believe is right.
They have their own code that they live by, which is not necessarily society's accepted code, but they have their standard of ethics. Tommy's like, I won't kill these people and I won't kill these people, but I'll kill everybody else and I'll do it for money, you know.
And if you happen to die, oh well. I
you
tried
know.
my best.
But I don't kill women, I don't kill kids, I don't kill innocent people.
Right.
And by his scale of being, or pets, you know.
Because he's doing his best, he's just a screw up.
Yeah.
You know, Constantine is doing his best,
But he's just a screw up. Exactly.
You know,
He
just
gets out
like
clean.
Luke.
And he always gets out.
Yeah,
Well,
just
exactly,
like
and
Luke is
mostly
a
clean.
whiner. We still love him.
Yeah, exactly. Luke
but
is messed
his
up and then
dad's
he's a
even
whiny
bigger
little
whiner.
bitch. But we
He
love
never
him.
made it to Tosche Station.
Speaking of those damn power converters.
You're too close. Loosen up.
I think another thing that makes this story great is when you can take like iconic characters, like we keep going to Alan Moore today for some reason, for The Man Who Has Everything.
Yeah.
That was
I mean, just sublime because
only
he
good
took.
Jason Todd story.
And I can't follow that up. We're going to sit in silence for the next 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, there's something you can follow that with. Grant Morrison.
Okay, give us some Grant Morrison.
Flex Mentallo, which is the craziest story ever, and it's just basically about a man who has to pretty much
The man of muscle
find
mastery.
his find what he loved to do, because his distorted vision of the world was ruining the creations he was in charge of. He was a comic book writer, and Flex Mentallo was one of his creations. And Flex Mentallo's world is all the superheroes are falling to drugs and orgies and losing their purpose.
So it's Image Comics in 1992.
And
Wow.
basically Flex Mentallo has to help his creator get back from
make it all
his
right.
despair to make everything good
The
again.
hero inspires the creator to be heroic again.
Wow.
And that's the popular theme. I think Stephen King used that same theme.
And Grant
But we're-
Morrison in
Our
Animal
own
Man.
creations inspire us. You know, we build these things to make us better.
Right. So we're running low on time, but just quickly, favorite storyline, favorite character. I'm going to start with Martin.
No, I'll go this way first.
Okay. Favorite storyline, favorite character. I'm going to start with Jon.
Favorite character is Batman. It's just awesome. And my favorite storyline, I don't know, but I think right now, Grant Morrison's whole run through New X-Men, just the way it started to the way it ended was kind of this, basically one story broken up into parts, and the ending comes as a shock. Well, both endings,
Okay.
but they all kind of held true. It's really
Drew?
good.
Favorite storyline, I think, although despite the frustrations with pacing and everything else, probably Planetary.
Oh,
From
okay.
beginning to end. I think it was a great, well-told, epic story over 26 issues and however many years. Just tremendous storytelling.
Favorite character.
favorite-
Let's say it together.
What?
The question.
The question.
Question is my favorite character, yes.
No question.
Hey, there's no question, right? I can go ahead.
My
Martin.
favorite character, I know everyone thinks I'm going to say Wolverine, but it's actually
Cap.
without a question.
Wow.
My favorite story was one of the first stories that got me into comic books was when they took Cap's uniform away from him and they wanted him to work for the government, and Cap was like, no, I work for America, I don't work for you. And they got the Super Patriot to be Cap instead, because this had never happened before. You know, they took Captain America's identity away from him, and he built it back up and beat the Super Patriot like he owed him money and took it back.
So on that note, I'm probably going to have to say Batman, and I'm going to have to tell you guys my favorite storyline another time because I'm really long-winded. And this is the end of the show. We want to thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you back. If you have any questions or comments for us, you can write us at, I think it is, well, it's going to show up at the end of the show. On the
It's fantastic.
it may even be here now.
It's probably running across the screen now. We
That's
just can't
right.
see it.
And I've gotten one fan letter, so please send me more and send Martin some too. Bye.
Don't contact me.
Jon wants nothing, no name necessary.
Send me his fan mail too.
Thanks, guys.
Peace out.